What's going on, guys? Here's another episode of the Gun Experience podcast, where we talk about everything pretty much firearms and firearm industry related.
Yep.
We're your hosts, Brian and Tristan, and this is kind of an interesting one. We don't really have a kind of a set like, hey, let's talk about concealed carry or home defense or whatever, but the world right now is kind of in a mess and a little bit of a
What a time to be alive.
a little bit of a flux.
Yeah, for sure.
So that would be kind of interesting, just we see all these things, where there's, you see all this stuff going on in the Ukraine right now where it's, God, I mean, for a lack of better terms, almost total war there. Like everybody, every male that's over 18 is fighting in some way with a lot of Western and Eastern volunteers. I mean, all over the world. I mean, the Middle East is popping off. Africa is going crazy. I mean, you can argue there's a ton of stuff going on in the States. So
Don't forget about China and Taiwan, man.
It's so, the world's in this kind of weird, up armament as well. But I don't think we are here to kind of dwell and scare everybody into, what could be. But more, so we want to talk about, what can we do and how can we better ourselves and be prepared and all that. So I know there's a lot of content creators out there, doing stuff of like, hey, how to survive a gunfight, or hey, how to go live in the woods for, all the recce stuff, and everything's really hot right now. But that would be a good kind of dialogue for us to kind of talk through and maybe prioritize, because I know we have an interesting background and some experience in some of the things we'll be talking about, and some things that people should maybe put more emphasis on,
For sure.
Not just going, buying a gun and going to the gun range and, thinking a little bit more in depth into that.
Yeah, that's very like surface level. Like
Yes.
we're starting at that. That's some white belt level stuff. We want to get you guys a little bit more, I guess, in depth, and at least
Right.
just thinking and talking about these things.
Right. So again, and this isn't, to, go too far tinfoil hat or anything. It's mostly just a good thought experiment, but, let's kind of set the stage, right? And I think some people prepare more for it than others. Some people are preparing for it and they don't even know about it, just by getting a firearm, and taking classes. But let's set the scenario of, you use the example of, whether it's Ukraine or even, the U.S., if something were to completely go, chaotic here, and it is a true red versus blue, and I'm not talking political or anything like that, just good guys versus bad guys. We are at war. We're at war with something, aliens, whatever.
Perfect. Aliens.
Yes,
We'll stick with
let's
aliens.
use
That's easy.
aliens. So, and in a real life scenario here, you need to think about, what you can do personally and kind of build up around you as well, to increase your odds of survival. There is no Lone Rangers in this thing. I mean, if you go about any of that, you're going to die. That's
Yeah.
the
Well,
way it is.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's game over.
I think the exercise here is going to be to kind of figure out what our maybe top 5 is for certain categories and kind of discuss that. So, setting the parameters a little bit more too, understanding that the ability to kind of maintain a castle or a base isn't always realistic. It's if we are truly being put in this position, it's not, working off of a government logistics, which, military's got it kind of the best, but it's always not perfect. So we don't have, a home base to go back to or able to establish, forward operating bases, whatever. This is truly like, hey, we have this kind of generalized area that we, are secure, or we can kind of go back to, but understanding that, you may have to be mobile and adapt.
Yeah, and I think that's where, as you're kind of leading into this, like if you're thinking prepper mind state, I think that's why we're not necessarily talking that, because once again, people want to start building that castle out. They want to build out the 30 years of food and the 7,400 solar panels on the house, and that's not what we're trying to get into here. It's just very
I mean,
basic
by all
stuff.
means, it's great to be prepared for that, and I do think there's a lot of validity and some of that prepping mindset, right? It's being prepared. But yeah, we're not talking about, you're not always going to have the ability to hoard or stock up on food, fuel and water and whatever. So, I mean, if stuff popped off right now, you know, how can you build those assets around you to increase your survivability?
Yeah.
So I think,
Where do you start with that though? Like what personally?
Yeah,
like,
so-
what would you do?
I think we start, you know, and there's a couple categories. You know, we can talk individually. What are some, I would think, some attributes that an individual should have that can increase that survivability? I think we can also talk about, you know, the fun stuff would always be gear and prioritize, you know, what is important. And I think that's where a lot of people will mess up. You know, we can you talk a little bit about the training, and then also too, I think it would be good and kind of fun. So if you had to pick a squad of, or you know, a fire team,
Which 5 actors are you taking?
yeah. You know, 5 people, and what are their main attributes? Like, what are their classes? You know,
Yeah.
so I think that could help again for the conversation and for people's minds, kind of weigh, you know, where some of these things are, you know, where they should be prioritized.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't think it's always about the running and gunning stuff that you think about.
That's not what's gonna. If you don't do the other parts first, when you get to the running and gunning part, that's when it shows it
Right.
all the leaks in your game.
Yeah, I think too, just kind of preface everything. It's, you know, the gunfight stuff or like the actual action. Yeah, you plan for all that, but that's going to be the very small bit
Portion.
of what happens in real life. You know, so it's all the getting up to that, and no matter what, you can't always plan for when that's going to happen either. So. And it's always not going to be on your terms or your perfect conditions. So having some type of, you know, readiness up to whenever that point may come, I think is very important. So I guess first, individual kind of skills. So, and I'll kind of start off with, if you're not in some type of physical shape, you're going to die, man. Like,
Round is not a shape.
you're right. Yes. And I don't think you need to go out and be a CrossFit athlete, you know, and I think all of us can do better, you know, at the fitness part. There's a reason that, you know, when I was enlisted, we'd go on ruck marches. I feel like, you know, it was every week at least. And yeah, you could do push-ups, you can do sit-ups, pull-ups, whatever it is, go run. That stuff's great. You don't need to have a necessarily gym membership, you know, and I think people need to prioritize some of that, you know, some time to going and working out.
Yep.
But man, throw a book bag on with 20, 30 pounds of crap in it and just go walk, you know, the neighborhood for 2 or 3 miles. That will build a lot more, I think, body conditioning than you actually think, and is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, having done rucks and stuff before like that will tear up your back and hips quick. And it's also kind of, if you think that sounds easy, just go do it once. Literally, it doesn't have to be this big military pack or anything like that. Literally, take a JanSport book bag, throw heavy books and, I don't know, some kitchen utensils in there, and just go walk. And I promise you, after 3 miles, if you've never done it before, it will show.
For sure. So, I mean, there's always things to do with that. So, be able to sprint 100 yards without just being dead afterwards, right?
Yep.
So, like, you know, make sure your legs still work after that. You're not huffing wind. Because, again, I mean, these things are going to be liabilities for you or for others. You know, if you're, you know, the protector of your family and you have to sprint, you know, across the parking lot to whatever, you know, disengage, engage, whatever it is. And at the end of that, you are so, you know, winded and you're sucking wind and can barely lift your own stuff, let alone, you know, your 2-year-old kid or whatever it is. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you become a liability, not an asset
Asset.
to your family, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, just some of these small things. Again, it's not going out and winning any competitions. Yeah.
I think there's a good program by a guy named Bill Rapier, who I think runs AMTAC. But anyways, great knowledgeable person. He has something called the Minuteman Fitness Regimen, and it kind of shows you where you should be and kind of milestones to hit. And it's real simple stuff. It's being able to ruck with a certain amount of weight. It's being able to run at a certain pace, do a certain amount of push-ups, calisthenic-wise. But it's just about creating that base level of fitness. I think it bothers me so much whenever I see people that, if you've ever had these conversations with anybody else, they start talking about, oh, well, I'll just get my truck and do this. Well, your truck has a limited fuel life, and at some point, sometime I don't like personally. I don't like to rely on other things, other people, things like that. It's a necessity, but at some point it does have to be a personal accountability where yes, I can pick this up and I can go.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that should be for like a personal base level. There needs to be a certain level of fitness, and that can be different for depending on the group. If you're hearing us and you live in Utah, or God forbid up in Montana near Yellowstone right now, you need a certain level of fitness that the Northern Texas group isn't necessarily going to need on a day-to-day basis. So just understanding where you live and what you need for that area is going to play drastically into building out your capabilities.
And I think that is a good, reason to LARP a little bit too. I know there's a lot of kind of famous, military guys that are out there, and all those people just wearing, kit or whatever, just LARPers and don't do it. And I think there's a outstanding majority that think that's wrong. So, or think that they are wrong. So,
Right.
Even in the military, I mean, if it's not a 2-ray range, technically you are role playing, right? You're LARPing.
100%,
So,
yeah.
the only way to get accustomed to your gear is to wear it and use it and train with it and practice with it. So, I'm not saying go out and terrorize your neighborhood in full kit or anything, but
no, not the move.
the first time you use, any of your gear shouldn't be
The
in a
first time you
gunfight.
need to use it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So make sure you know how it uses, where the faults are. There's a reason why it's called dummy cord. Same thing. Like if you're in total darkness, do you know where the stuff is in your day pack?
Oh, for sure. I think I've seen pictures of like people blindfolding it, and they'll go through the pack to like find this for me, and then of course the photo is, if you can't find it in complete blackness, is like what use is it to you?
Yeah. I think we'll probably hit on light discipline and some things like that a little bit
for
later,
sure.
but that falls into it. Like if it's you or a group of you having some type of standardization of like where you put stuff in your gear, so you're like, hey, my batteries are out. I can't see a thing in front of me right now, but I can feel and I know where my batteries are, or hey, I know where my hydration source is, or whatever.
I do have a question for you. You remember the first time you ever put on a plate carrier, or close to one of the first times?
Yeah.
And like go for a walk or something like with it on.
Dude,
do you remember? It sucks.
I remember my neck hurting.
Yeah, from the helmet or from the plate carrier?
From the plate carrier, because it kind of pulls down your traps. And
yeah, so you're trying to roll it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then for me, it was the first time I like put on an actual helmet and then went for a long walk.
Right.
That right there. Next day you take it off. Talk about like neck hurting.
Yeah.
It feels like it just needs to pop every 2 minutes.
That's the other thing too, and again, this will circle back
we're
later
definitely
on.
still on the
But talk
fitness.
about nods and things like that too. Like the first time wearing those, in the house or whatever is fine. But if you wear those for 8 hours, that's a different story. We're talking a couple pounds pulling on your head or different things, and
Oh yeah.
it'll kind of separate those that have trained and those that have not. But all right, so fitness is obviously a big one. I think well overlooked, because I think we rely on too many kind of security blankets, whether it's vehicles or just other creature comforts that we have.
Yeah.
What do you think another?
For me, so learned from a guy named Harley Elmore, of course, the rule of threes. But we always do water, food, sometimes shelter. For me, the way he started off, it needs to be 3 seconds. You can't go 3 seconds without thinking. At all times, you have to be kind of thinking about the next move and understanding like second and third order effects, which is a whole separate podcast in and of itself. But understanding that every action has a reaction, and that goes for you dealing with other people, packing the bag a certain way, how you have your rifle, how you have your gear set up, all of that has a secondary effect on you and on the environment around you. So I think that most people generalize too many things and not understanding, because there's so many unknowns. You can't prepare for every unknown. You have to do your own assessment on that. But understanding that you need to take care of whatever your certain priorities are, pick your top 5 or top 10 priorities of, hey, this is my basis, what I can cover, and think completely through. Okay, my rifle sling is single point. That's the sling I chose. Okay, I chose a sling for the maneuverability. That's great. Depending on how you plan on getting around, let's just stick with walking for now. Have you walked around with a single point sling? Has it smacked you in the kneecap enough times for you to make a different decision? How do you plan to deal with that contingency? And start rolling through these different concepts and ideas so that a way your gear will match what you think it's actually going to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great example too. There's guys, whether it's from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet, gear that is first time used or used incorrectly will end up hurting you. You wear
100%.
you're packed the wrong way, or you pack it the wrong way, and the weight's unevenly distributed. Whatever, that small little inconvenience is going to end up turning into
It changes your gait for your walking, which
Everything.
will change to a hip problem, which will change to a knee problem on the other side. So it's
just everything. Yeah,
all because you put the radio on the left instead of the middle.
right. So, understanding how your gear works with your body and your, I guess, your training and everything else is really important. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I think other things that people don't think about too, that's hugely important, and you had said radio. And I want to leave that for the gear part, but
For sure.
is weather. I think a lot of people think, well, hell, I'm in Texas. It's going to be hot as hell here. I want to be in shorts, some whatever, just
My
light
Hawaiian
stuff,
bro
whatever.
shirt,
Yeah,
and I'm good to go.
Yeah, so I think you really need to understand that any type of weather can put you out of commission really bad, or make a mission just completely change.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And it could be heat, it could be cold, rain, whatever. I think most people who are really well practiced, they want it to suck, right? Because if it sucks for me, it sucks for you as well.
Yep.
And I'm going to be able to put up with that suck better than you are.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, I want it to be cold. I want it to rain, and because I know I'm going to be more prepared than you are. So I think having some level of preparation for weather. So like Texas, bring sunscreen, bring bug spray.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously things that you can carry. A poncho, and then have depending on, it's not always going to be hot. And especially during those kind of spring and fall times, we get the drastic, super hot and super cold.
If you're in Texas during that time, you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It gets crazy.
So being prepared for that, and those few extra ounces could save your life. And obviously that could turn into a gear thing. But having the mental readiness of, hey, yeah, I want it to rain. I want it to suck a little bit, because I'm going to be able to overcome that because I prepared for it.
Right. And another one of the great lessons I learned from Harley was you don't want it to, the first time you go through something shouldn't be the first time you've at least thought about it, right?
Right.
So if you're in the aspects of weather, tornadoes, freak rainstorms that come out of nowhere, just the ridiculous 112-degree heat, all of that plays into effect. Because then you also have to think about, once again, what's my top 10 priorities? How do I need to dress to fulfill said priorities, but also have some level of creature comfort? Because you can make something suck really, really bad. You can walk outside right now when it's 108 degrees in a full parka suit, like you're getting ready to go skiing. Yeah, that's going to suck, but is there an end goal? Is there a quality end state to qualify that? But at the same time, you don't want to walk around in, like I said, board shorts and a t-shirt with your Crocs on, because God forbid you have to hit the ground. Well, now you've jacked up your knee because it's all exposed, or you've jacked up your shin, something like that, and you're not allowing yourself to fulfill whatever your priority is because you weren't paying attention. So yeah, I think 100% that understanding, now you don't have to be the absolute best weatherman. You don't need to look outside, be able to put your finger in there. Oh, okay, it's about to rain. It doesn't need to be that, but it does need to be a level of contingency set up overall.
So the other, I guess, asset that I could think of, and it's probably one of the most important, would be some type of medical, right? Like even before you know how to pull a trigger or, move or anything like that, there needs to be some level of medical knowledge, just individual first aid, all the way, through, trauma, and how to handle those, situations. Just bringing it back to the whole Ukraine thing, some of the most valuable people that have been recognized in this conflict have been those that have gone over and given medical instruction. They were either, a lot of it was, U.S. or Western volunteers.
Yeah.
who were corpsmen or medics and other militaries coming over, sharing that knowledge and saving a lot of lives. Tourniquets have been, used in by the truckloads.
Oh, for sure.
I think was American Rescue said that U.S. distributors were going to be like on a 3 or 4 month back order because of how many tourniquets were being sent over there.
And I wouldn't doubt it either. I agree with you that there has to be something, whether it's a windlass tourniquet or a ratchet strap. I think this goes back to thinking is, well, I'll use my belt. I'll take my belt out and
That's
bro, literally just type in "does belt work as tourniquet" into YouTube, and there's enough videos on there to say how dumb of an idea that is. That's like packing tampons inside your IFAK so you can plug a bullet hole. It's just, it doesn't work that way. It's not enough for what the need
Right.
is. I agree that medical needs to be a certain thing. You need to be able to cover the ABCs, right? Airway, breathing, circulation, understanding what trauma is, being able to diagnose a fracture, all the way up to what true heat exposure looks like. And there's levels to all this, and there's plenty of free material out there that there's no real reason not to know these things. Because not only does that person for heat exposure or heat stroke, if they go down, they're a liability, but you're also a liability because you didn't come with enough knowledge to the fight to be able to bring them back into it with you. So now you're one barrel, and that's it until that other person gets fixed. And you may have to call upon somebody else. And you never want to have to rely on somebody else at such a basic level.
Yeah, I know when we were issued IFAKs, it's individual first aid kit.
Yep.
And we always had a kind of a level of there's individual care. So especially if there's a current firefight happening, the the doctrine isn't just to be like, hey, I got a boo-boo or I got hit, send all the cavalry to come get me. That's probably not going to happen, man. The best form of care is suppressing the enemy. So you don't want to keep getting shot at while you're trying to help out your homies.
Yeah, it's definitely the first thing is if someone gets shot, what's the first thing you do is shoot back.
Shoot back, yeah.
Yep.
The best form of cover is
a lot of
fire superiority.
Safe freedom seeds going the other way.
Yes. So if something happens to yourself, how can you manage that on your own before risking, maybe it's several people, maybe it's a high casualty, event where something went boom and there's 4 or 5 people, down. So now you only have one designated, medic or somebody with that experience. They got to go through and, diagnose, on the fly every single person. And if they're wasting time on you, which is maybe something that you could have cared, maybe that cost somebody else's life in just a few seconds. So just think about that, and it goes, kind of back to understanding your equipment and how to use it and really why you're carrying that. What else do you think an individual should mentally or physically prepare themselves?
I think I was thinking about this yesterday really heavily today as well. And for me, I don't know if I heard it or read it somewhere, but the term disciplined aggression. I think understanding and having a mindset towards that, because no matter what conflict it is, through the entire history of time, there is a start and an end point. And even if it's gone on for hundreds of years, there's still going to be an end point at some point. And understanding that life goes on beyond this. And so if you're 100% being this aggressor, trying to win back your country, let's use Russia and Ukraine at some point. At some point, either Ukraine is going to be annexed into Russia or Ukrainians will have their own sovereignty and not have to deal with this anymore. But they're still neighbors with Russia, so they're going to have to figure it out because the consistent bloodshed and the issues going on just can't continue. So is it good to have a level of aggression to be able to handle, said circumstances when they arise? Sure, but it has to be disciplined enough that you understand what phase that everything's in, and you can go back into having an empathetic and kind of a little bit more easygoing and understanding a professional manner to it. Because just allowing there to be full aggression and you never stop is how you get pushed out to pasture. Nobody wants to be a part of that. But having that as a disciplined capability, I think is something that people have to become a little bit more okay with. And I think also that since us as America, we haven't had a invading country coming in since 9/11, since the war on terror started. I think the idea of disciplined aggression is not as well noticed or is not as well thought through in current times than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and not to go down the rabbit hole of active shooters or mass shootings, things like that, but there's video, and some of these guys are live streaming these events, and it kind of shows the mentality of, and again, I mean, not everyone's trained to be a fighter or anything like that, but it's just kind of where we're at in society too. Of unfortunately, what you see is a gun gets drawn, and an adult person is, if I beg and plead and cry enough that please don't, they're going to take compassion and I'll be okay. It's not the case, man. I mean, unfortunately, like, as evil as it is and as sucks to talk about and all that stuff, that's just not the case. So I think it would be a very rude wake-up call, kind of just what you're talking about, for a lot of people, because that end point of like that top tier of aggression that you're talking about, that is a long way from just shooting an enemy. So if someone is there with the intent to do harm or to take your life, saying please don't is not gonna stop them.
A big shout out to like my mentors, like I said, Harley Elmore and stuff in the SIOC Collie Group. But there's an idea and an understanding that no matter who you are, no matter what the situation, there's three things to be prepared that you have to do. You have to be awareness, preparedness, and willingness. And I think we always cover, especially in the gun world, if anybody kind of goes down this enthusiast pathway, they always have this preparedness level. The awareness is somewhat there. I think we all kind of pay attention to the news and see, and we have an understanding of what's going on around us. But I think where most Americans seem to always leave off is this willingness. And it's from a lack of knowledge. I think you and me were joking several weeks ago, and just sometimes it feels like the world, we don't condone violence, and we're not pushing for violence. We're not saying that at all. It's understanding that violence exists no matter where you are in the world. You can be here in Texas, you could be over in Iraq, North Africa, Europe. There's violence somewhere. There's always going to be a bad actor somewhere trying to do something to harm somebody else. And what we're trying to say here is that you need to not play as a volunteering victim into their hands and just be prepared in case something were to arise. So that's where the willingness comes in. And the willingness isn't to shun off that evil doesn't exist. The willingness is to accept that no matter what you do, you can't control somebody else's actions. All you can do is be prepared in case something were to arise.
I think, and maybe this was instilled, like, you can get this through sports or adversity just in life, or, definitely in the military, is the whole escalation of force. And I know that's kind of can be used broadly, but I think with the military is just one of those things where I know what I'm going to be in is going to suck.
Yep.
And I know what the worst outcome is. So whatever force is being applied, I'm going to escalate that just to the next step. Doesn't mean I'm going full, crazy Super Saiyan on it.
You flip me off, you're punching me in the face.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
we
yeah.
trade that back. That's not the
so,
right answer.
yeah, you push me, I punch you. And I'm not saying that's how you live your life, but, when it comes to, I guess, dire, situations like this, you know the outcome. So, I mean, it is upon you to rise to that kind of escalation of force. Because even if you fail, you still meet the same outcome of doing nothing.
Yep.
But there's that whole other, opportunity to, overcome whatever that is. So, whether it's being the aggressor or, not freezing and getting out of a scenario or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. For me, it's just having an understanding and being willfully accepting of just there's bad in the world, and you as a mindset for understanding if something were to happen, don't let it catch you off guard. Don't let that dire circumstance be the first time you've ever contemplated what am I prepared to do to make it home at night. Because I'm not out there trying to kill people. I'm not trying to go out there and hurt people. That's not at all in me or in my personality whatsoever. But it is within me to make it home at night.
Sure.
And defend myself and my family. And I think that's something that people just have to come to their own conclusion on, is what they're willing to do to make sure, whether that's 100% calling the cops first, going down the traditional rabbit hole of self-defense and Texas, the Castle Doctrine, and following those steps. But I think a lot of people are going to put hands up and call the cops, but they're going to once again rely on somebody else to handle their self-defense.
What would you kind of like wrap that up with, saying like, what is that that attribute?
Man,
So
that's good.
So
yeah.
right now, like we say, hey, you got to be in some type of physical
Fitness,
right?
so-
Be able to get up and move. You need to know how to fix boo-boos. Take care of yourself, take care of others through medical. Need to know how to work around the elements for which we're going to be facing as far as just weather goes, and then just how to, I guess,
Disciplined aggression
yeah,
and vigilance.
there you go.
I would say that kind of encompasses both discipline, aggression, and vigilance, of that awareness factor, and preparedness, of course, but then just being willing at the end of the day to do the right thing to make sure that those you're protecting are going to be okay.
Yeah, I think that can. All these things too can trickle into a ton of other stuff.
Oh yeah, we've kicked open many doors. We just haven't walked through any of them.
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, you could say, "Oh, well, training." Yes, obviously, get training. There's,
I don't think anybody's questioning that.
an insane amount of training that you would need to be on that level of, if it were truly a total war in the streets, and it's us versus them thing. So there's levels to that, and there's also levels of training while working within groups and with others, squad tactics, things like that. That's a whole nother level. All right, so the next step is kind of like individual gear, and
Yeah.
I think this is one of those ones, again, go down a rabbit hole, but we can cover, head to toe, and I think some of the general things, but I think it would be important for us to kind of cover some of those things that people don't think about.
Yeah.
So just for continuity, you want to just top to bottom?
Top to bottom, bottom to top, man, whichever.
Okay. So
Front to back,
Yeah.
whatever we got to do.
Same the Navy. So starting, headgear and understanding that there's different budgets to things. Not everyone's going to be be able to afford ballistic helmets or anything like that. And anything that we're talking about, and I'm sure we will reiterate this 100 times, is you better know how to use it, and you've better trained with it. Because if you go out for the first time and wear a 8-pound Kevlar and then throw another 2 pounds of night vision on top of it, you're going to be in Suck City in about half
You're
an
going to be
hour.
like this the first time you do
Yeah,
it.
right.
Your nods are not going to be anywhere near where you
Yeah, they're
need
going
to
to be facing your toes. So I think, there's kind of a hierarchy of that. Like ballistic helmet, great. If you can't get that, bump helmet, right? Because debris, things like that. You still have the ability to mount night vision, things like that. And then below that, some type of sunshade cover, boonie hat, whatever, baseball cap to
Oh, yeah.
keep the sun.
Something, yeah.
Something, right? I think the things to think about with, headgear is, one, protection from, a lot of these helmets that are ballistic, they'll stop pistol rounds and things like that. A lot of them aren't meant to stop, high caliber rifle rounds. So don't think that you're just going to
It's
be
gonna
Iron
deflect
Man.
that 50 BMG, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Does it stop mortars too?
Right. So that's something that should be talked about, though, is indirect fire. Who knows if it's going to be mortars, if it's whatever. People
Your
throwing
cousin's water balloons. Just
yeah,
whatever
people
it may
throwing
be.
rocks off of buildings, whatever it is. Like, that's why I say even a bump helmet would be, which is like a glorified bicycle helmet. Which
You don't
it-
mean that.
yeah, right. It's so indirect fire, right? So people like that's a big thing right now over in Ukraine is they're saying, man, this is like a whole total war because it's like World War II combined with modern war now because they have all the high tech stuff, with tanks and infantry and all this, and it's combined assaults. But now they're using indirect fire, so mortars, artillery, and all that, and they're just getting bombarded by these things. So you don't have to necessarily think of the shells hitting near you and blowing you up. It's buildings or trees. The trees are splintering and just sending shrapnel everywhere. Buildings are coming down or collapsing or blowing up, and there's rocks and debris going everywhere. So having something to protect your dome is going to be pretty important for that.
Yeah, and I'm just from an environmental standpoint, not even talking about war. Like you said, things shifting just in the ground itself.
Yeah.
Trees falling. If you're up in a
Yeah.
mountainous area, a rock slide is a thing. Like
Yeah.
that might be a joke in the cartoons, but like that's real life or death.
Dude, widowmaker trees, like you get a dead branch somewhere and you just whatever, you bump into it the wrong way and it can come and kill you.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, having something on your head's better than nothing. And then the weight difference between a ballistic and a bump
Sure.
helmet. If you've never worn a helmet before and you're not thinking like that, you just want somewhere to mount your nods or something to protect your head from trees falling, things like that. A bump helmet is right up your alley.
Yeah.
There's no weight to it. It truly is like wearing a bicycle helmet, and it does the necessary tasks.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and total just availability, whatever you can get to. You don't have a ballistic helmet, you can't get a bump helmet, whatever. Go again, bicycle helmet. You're not gonna be. You don't have to look super cool, tier 1 operator. Like, in fact,
grab a dirt bike helmet.
there's some type of weird, trophy unlocked cue that you get if you're wearing a bicycle helmet with like the mohawk and shit.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, a motorcycle helmet, whatever it may be, it's better than nothing, right?
Oh yeah.
Or if you want to just be completely slick, something to prevent you or protect you from the sun. Whether it's just from glare or the rays itself and just burning you out.
Yep.
The other thing about helmets or headwear too is they can break up, and that's why boonie covers, although they're not ballistic or protective in any way, they break up the actual
Silhouette.
appearance of the silhouette of your head. So it's just not a round dome that people are used to seeing. It breaks it up. So kind of an act of camouflage. While we're there, we can talk about it. I mean, night vision, thermals, they're there for a reason, and they are absolutely game changing.
Pro tip. When you're looking at night vision, single versus double, it looks like an extremely different cost. If you've never walked around in single,
And
It's
you're talking about covering one
like a
eye or
monocle
two eyes.
tube, or dual tube. And that's what most people will see unless you want to go super fancy and get the quad tubes for
Yeah.
$45,000.
I'm on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the monocle, your depth perception sucks. It is terrible. You'll be walking along and you will find, if there's a pothole to be found, I promise you'll find it and you're going to fall. And then we'll get into footwear and stuff and not breaking your ankles doing that. But if you can afford it or save up for it, dual tube is the way to go. For most people, if you're thinking long-term use, the amount of depth perception and just overall capabilities and visibility you have is significant.
Yeah, I think there's different levels of this too, and a lot of it is because this is a very costly part of the conversation, and I would say 99% of people that are even in this position or even thinking about these kind of things.
They're going to look up and see the $10,000 price tag.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
these
I
are
mean they're not
crazy.
going to have night vision or ever even think about it. So, I mean the price of entry is getting better. I mean, you still would want to budget a couple $1,000s though. I know we have single tubes down there for $1,500. Like it's not that bad.
No, it's not.
Like PVS 14s.
That's it. AGM.
Yeah.
Products, yeah.
So, there are definitely things out there, but it is not cheap. It's not just a couple $100.
No.
And if you find something that's a couple $100 or that cool Call of Duty,
Yeah.
set that came with the video game. Those
surprisingly work,
but they'll get you killed.
but yeah, I wouldn't wear them.
Yeah, you don't want anybody else to be wearing actual night vision then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the reason why I say that, so night vision works off of pretty much picking up ambient or IR light that's out in the environment. So, obviously, IR is invisible to the human eye, but the nods will pick those up. So, under poor lighting conditions, meaning there is some light, the moon or the stars,
Right.
most night vision that's worth buying will use that light and show you a picture.
Mm-hmm.
The backup to that is a lot of them have what's called an IR illuminator. So imagine it's just like a tiny little, it looks like a little red light on your night vision device that while looking through it, it looks like you're turning on a flashlight.
Yeah.
So it puts out this big flood of infrared light. It's invisible to a naked eye, but under night vision, it looks like you're lighting up the place with a flashlight. So that's great, unless the people that you don't want to see you also have night vision. So
Yep.
things like that are important to think about and understand on how they work.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street when it comes to that. Thermals. I think thermals is kind of even the next step and kind of game changing. So I know there's guys out there doing events where they're like, everybody had nods, but the one dude had a thermal. And it wasn't even like thermal, tubes on his helmet or anything like that. It was just like a spotting scope that was meant to, mount in front of an optic on a rifle.
Yeah.
He just used it as a handheld thing, and he was spotting guys that were 400 or 500 yards out.
Wow.
It's a completely unfair advantage.
For
It's
sure.
like, I see you now, and you don't see me. So that's something to think about too. So, and maybe even the application of, hey, I know I can't afford this, whatever, the mount and the helmet and the tubes and all this stuff, but I do have, this unit that I use for hog hunting. Maybe use that as a kind of an individual like spotter, spotting scope, things like that, under the cover of night. That way you're not just completely blind at night.
Yes. Something is better than nothing. So whether that's the $800 thermal that you can get, or if you can drop it on 2 Elbit or L3 white phosphorus tubes, whatever that range is, something more than I think just a flashlight or a red lens, because that gives off way too much light, and then you get into light and noise discipline, things like that.
So, and we can go down that tangent just real fast. So, the light and noise discipline, two separate things. So, light meaning anything visible light. So, at night, even in the woods, even worse if it's an open field or a clearing, a small little, whatever, 100 lumen flashlight, a pocket flashlight,
This
is going to give away your position
This is, hey, I'm here. Come find me.
like for a mile. Like
Yeah.
it is going to be seen everywhere. Then the misconception of, a lot of people in the military or, camping, they have, the red lamps and the little colored gel inserts. Like that red lamp, while not as visible as the white, you're still going to be seen from
Still a
a
beacon.
ways away off. It is a beacon saying, hey, I'm here. So,
Yep.
if that's what you have an understanding of, light discipline and how that works. You have a poncho on you, cover that yourself with the poncho and use that light underneath there to where it's not bleeding out everywhere,
Right.
giving you up. So that's very
100%.
important.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We can talk about noise discipline too, just real quick. Noise discipline is anything that rattles, so zippers, any type of Velcro, lanyards, anything that swings, moves,
Clanks.
clanks, tape that stuff up, man. Because again, you go into an environment where there is no noise pollution, so there's no cars moving. The animals maybe vacated that area because they don't want to get blown up. Whatever it is,
Right.
you're next to a body of water. Sound will travel a long way. So
Yeah.
the small thing of zippers clanking together on your backpack, or a sling,
Slapping it, like
slapping
QD,
the rifle,
slapping
yeah.
against the rifle, yep.
that could give away your position. So
100%.
All right, we beat that up a little bit.
Moving down.
Moving down. What do you think the next part we should cover?
Plate carriers and chest rigs, man.
All right.
So this is one of the more debated topics, I think, and we're not here to debate this.
And we don't sell body armor here.
Yeah, we're not here to debate that with anybody. All we're saying is these are things that you should consider and understand they have a validity on either side. So plate carriers are great. There's different levels of plates, and you get them. So level 2, 3, and 4, and each has a variation. There's soft armor, and then there's hard armor as well. But each variation from level 2, you're stopping basically pistol caliber, all the way up to level 4, you're stopping 308s, I want to say.
Yeah, so level 3, and you can get soft armor that's
Yeah.
up to level 3. So soft meaning like pliable, it moves, all that. It's not an actual
Conforms
rigid
to
plate.
you.
Correct. Can stop, and I guess we can actually look it up, but most handgun rounds like up to 44 mag, and then even some common rifle rounds like 223 with kind of like an asterisk. So because if you get a round moving fast enough, or you get some of the steel penetrator or armor piercing,
Saying
things like that,
spalled or something like
yeah, it's gonna a lot of those will just zip through that level 3, and that's where you need the extra kind of durability of a level 4. Now we're talking plates. So
Right.
level 4 can typically go up to, heck, a lot of them are 30-06 tungsten, tungsten core.
heavy rounds.
Yes, and those will go through a lot of stuff. So what do you think?
With body armor, here's where I'm at, is that if we let's just stay with walking, right? That's what we've been talking about. Let's just stick there. Ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain. Body armor comes in a variety of types and sizes, from ceramic plates to rhino-lined steel. The heavier the plate, the cheaper the cost. But if you've never worn body armor, you're basically throwing what you'd say an extra 25 pounds on your chest
Yeah, easy.
and moving around with that. And so that's plates plus a few mags. That crap's heavy, not including your rifle, not including a sidearm if you have one, not including your helmet, your uniform, or your clothing, your boots,
Water, all
your
that stuff,
backpack.
yeah.
Like, all this adds up quite a bit. I want to say I saw videos, like old Marine Corps videos, guys would get on the scale after they put on different pieces of kit, and they could easily be an extra 100, 110
Mm-hmm.
pounds of gear. And you're having to move for miles upon miles trying to move through that. If you're, once again, it goes back to training and physical fitness. If you're not using your gear and training to the physical fitness kind of required for that, you train for nothing. So in terms of plates, it does get more costly to get lighter, but it's either you get stronger or your wallet's going to get a little bit lighter at the end of the
Right.
day.
Yeah, I think it's important to know. I mean, obviously your limitations of cost and all that stuff, but how the equipment works too. So, I mean, the kind of the standard would be some type of, ESAPI, some type of either polycarbonate ceramic mix, or some type of ceramic plate, because those will disperse energy the best. A lot of them are multi-hit rated.
Yep.
And they can also be the least heavy. Where you get into steel, steel has the benefits of being very thin, multi-hit rated, and will pretty much keep on trucking until it eventually gets pierced. But it's also very heavy, and then you also have to worry about spalling. So spalling is when a round hits that plate, it pretty much blows apart, and almost like a paintball, it splats everywhere. But instead of paint, it's metal
Steel
and
fragments.
it's shrapnel. So that stuff could go up into your throat or your face or whatever. So
Things to think about.
things to think about. Yeah. So I saw in generations, of body armor, at least in the military, and kind of popular use, I guess, too, and how those trends go. But it seemed like when body armor first came, it was like, man, cover as much stuff as you can. And it was almost like, it felt
It's
like
an Iron Man suit.
Yeah, I mean, and I know the Army got crazy with some of it, so when I was in the Marine Corps, mid-late 2000s, we were issued like it was almost like a flak jacket, you put it on like a puffer vest, and you
Oh,
you know,
like an IBA.
yeah. So trying to describe it to
Yeah.
I don't know the name.
No, yeah, no. Like you said, yeah, it's just like
it's like a big vest,
it's a
yeah.
vest.
So, but it goes left or right over left kind of thing. So, you know, it covered your neck, so it had like a big high neck collar. You had a big groin flap that flopped. You know, it was just bulky. It felt like you were wearing.
Did you ever get the deltoid protectors?
So we never got those. So I've seen where, and that's where I was like in the Army, you know, where they had, you know, shoulder protection and they even had like the thigh protection and all that. And it makes sense because, you know, IEDs or things like that, shrapnel gets blown up and it protects those arteries. They're not going to stop bullets for the most part, but they'll stop shrapnel. But you got to carry that stuff, and you got to carry it, and you know, especially in that time period at Iraq or Afghanistan, you know, hot weather, things like that. So it seemed like over time, you know, we got these crazy armored suits, and then they started dwindling down to what we now call like plate carriers, which is pretty much literally just enough material to hold the plate. And it seems like the trend is going, you know, less is more on this, and modularity. So, you want to talk about kind of like suggestions to put on those plates? So as far as obviously you'd want ammo, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Some type of medical and comms.
And I would add one more for like just a general admin pouch. Nothing is worse than needing like a pen or something to write something down, or not having it on you. So like the 511 vests are great because they have a small general one that's built into the vest. You can get stuff from like Spiritus Systems that's all built out. Get the little fanny pack status, whatever you need. But yeah, I would say something to hold your mags. Definitely some kind of first aid kit on there, and then something for a radio if it's a handheld radio or a walkie-talkie, just something to put onto your body. It feels so corny to say it, but I believe it's the absolute truth. That is your biggest quote unquote weapon overall is going to be some kind of communication device. Nobody is the Lone Ranger, James Bond, Jason Bourne type. Nothing is ever done and accomplished just by yourself. You do have to have more than one person, and being able to talk to that person is ideal.
Yeah, that's another area too where you could, I mean, you can have a whole episode just on comms. And probably one of the areas that are least trained for most people is whether it's a two-way radio, you know, the R2D2 set you got at, you know, Toys R Us, or, you know, it's a Baofeng or whatever it is, you know, or you're running encrypted, you know, comms. You need to train with it. You need to know how to use it. No matter your party size, if it's a group of 2, 10, 100, whatever, you guys need to know how to, you know, get on the same frequencies, you know, and have the correct radio etiquette, and understanding how those work. Because, and what I mean is, if you have that kind of that cheap two-way radio, whatever, somebody's definitely listening in. You know, that's easy to pick up on that same frequency and listen. So if that's what you have, that's fine. You know, just a normal, like, whatever, walkie-talkie set you get from the sporting goods store. Just understand that you're not going to be like, hey, I'm on the corner of 5th and Main. I'm going to meet you at the 7-Eleven in precisely 7 minutes, and I'll be wearing my black shirt and white shoes. Like, someone's going to be listening to that, and guess what? They're going to meet you, you know.
They'll meet you at 7-Eleven.
Yes, they'll meet you there. So, you know, at least have some discipline to, you know, try and, you know, route plan, coordinate, and have some type of communications or a dialogue kind of already set up ahead of time, knowing that you have, you know.
We're not talking about a coded language. Like, we're not saying you need to be able to speak in the twin gibberish.
No,
right?
but
like
you could set up, you know, destinations, right? You can be like, hey, you know, waypoint A, you know, and that could be whatever, you know, a certain store, a certain landmark location, whatever, and just have those predetermined could save a lot of heartache later.
And we already hit it once. I'm gonna hit it one more time. People listening in, we're not here trying to condone violence. We're not here for any.
Just things.
We are not planning any kind of uprising. This is not that kind of episode. This is not that kind of show. This is truthfully just a general talk about things that have gone crazy in the world and just kind of lessons learned from other people. So you're not learning it for the first time yourself. God forbid something like that were to happen.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, it's just things to think about, and whether you physically train for it or mentally, you know, train for it, prepare for it. It's
because you know you're just waiting for that one person to comment below the video and be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
they're training for
You guys
something,
were
all
there
right.
at Jan 6, yeah.
Yeah, no,
So-
not that case. We're not those people.
So yeah, I mean, understanding communications, how to use them, what the kind of the to dos and not to dos, understanding that people could be listening in, and that's a really important thing too. And it's the whole radio stuff, practicing it, because I know I did it, and I first time using radios, I was in like armored trucks and we were driving them and all that stuff, and kind of in formations, and you just signal, you get on the radio and be like, okay, you're letting what vehicle is about to move and all these things.
Yep.
And you go and you hit the push to talk and you kind of just freeze up, whatever. So the push to freeze. So, just dumb stuff. It's like, we talk on phones all the time, we're talking right now, so it's no different. So just, it's weird. Yeah. You put a microphone in somebody's face and they forget how to, to speak.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So, just dumb stuff with practicing it will take you a long way.
So we kind of hit comma though. We've hit mags. We talked through
Yeah.
medical. What would you put in your medical pouch?
Well, as far as like even just on my plate carrier, like, I think a typical loadout. So I know there's one in the gun, and I usually have 7 extra mags on the plate carrier itself.
Mm-hmm. Do you run some on your pistol belt? Do you run a pistol belt in this scenario?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah.
So you're talking about.
I'm just thinking like personally, that's what I have. Yeah. So,
Okay.
And understanding too, this is, everything's mission, specific
Mission
and all that stuff. But
dependent,
if you're just, if you got one thing to go out and do it all with, like you're kind of stuck with what you got. Kind of treating it as that. So I definitely don't want to run out of ammo. On my carrier, I do have an admin pouch. So my carrier has like that kangaroo pouch in between,
Right,
behind the mags. I do have a thing where you can run those ATACs on there, but which is like a cell phone with GPS, but or you could run your cell phone, but understanding that there's certain liabilities that come with that, with GPS and finding out where you are. I think that was the one thing too that the whole Russian-Ukraine social media and everything was such a big part of this war that enemy units were locating others by social media.
By the status
they're
update.
geotagging where they're at. They're on Tinder trying to
Over here.
Yeah, over here, and then they're getting bombed. So, don't do that. The medical that is on my body at the time, and it's actually on my belt, but is a IFAC. So it is a individual first aid kit, and it's like a trauma kit. So tourniquets, gunshot wounds, things like that.
How would you, like, if you had to generalize like what you have in the pouch, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, if there's any type of significant bleeding to an extremity, I want to stop that. So tourniquets. There's a tourniquet on my plate carrier, tourniquet on my belts, and then I always keep an extra 1 or 2 in the backpack as well. Yep. So there's also the pretty much like a gauze bandage, but it has that quick clot material in it.
Yeah.
So you're just wound packing. So if you do have a gunshot wound,
agent.
Yep, a gunshot wound or a deep laceration, that hemostatic. Well, you just shove that stuff in there and until the blood stops flowing. There's also burn gel as well. So hypothetically, you got hit by a Molotov cocktail or whatever happens.
You put your hand on the oven too long. Yeah.
Yes. You touched the suppressor.
Yeah.
After.
Don't be silly.
Yeah. Don't be an idiot. That will kind of help rapidly cool the skin and prevent any extra damage, things like that. Gloves, medical shears. I usually keep the medical shears on the plate carrier, and as well as there is a shear in the IFAC. I know there's some other stuff. I got a couple the triangle bandages, which are kind of general purpose. You can use those for improvised slings, or I don't want to say tourniquet, but
do you run any kind of chest seals or anything in your kit?
No, I don't have any chest seals. Like, I know how to make an improvised chest seal.
Right.
Man, they beat that into us, but I don't have any of those.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Also thinking too, like, if that were the scenario, like I don't know how much support we would get, to be honest. Like if you're to that point, the chance of survivability I think might be pretty low. Because if you're not able to get back to a doctor, because you and I can probably stop the bleeding and get people to that secondary treatment, but if there's no actual surgeon, I mean,
and that's
Motrin's not going to do it.
I was about to say the IFAC in general, in my mind, should cover 10 to 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's each individual person needs to have enough gear on them between the trauma shears, tourniquets, whether that's like a ratchet medical tourniquet or a windlass tourniquet if you need to use that to get started, something to get you to that 60-minute point. Because at 60 minutes is like the idea of a golden hour. You should be finding that second level of care or longer sustained care versus what you can do in the field.
Yeah. I mean, again, this ain't the movies, man. You're not going to cauterize the bullet wound and keep on going or whatever.
Don't do
it's
that.
like, just, you're an idiot.
Do some Walking Dead, chop off the hand, like
Yeah.
like,
Oh, jeez.
yeah. Then you can carry a sword as a hand, man.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah. So I mean, but the most important thing is understanding how to use that medical too, and then again, whether it's just you, if it's a group, whatever, having some type of uniformity with where that's located. That way, if something does happen and whether you need to go help someone or someone needs to come help you, they know where that kit is and it's readily accessible. And it just saves you. I mean, every second's precious at that point. So
Right, 100%.
could save your life. Back to kind of the backpack.
So you're finished with plate carrier?
Kinda. I also carry zip ties on there too. So I have zip ties that I could use
In case
for
your belt breaks.
anything, man. There was so many weird test stuff that they had us do where like we were taking all of our belts off and using boot laces and all types of stuff to kind of transport gear and all these
That
things.
sounds very Marine Corps.
Dude.
Right there.
Yeah, super do or die. But zip ties are good. You don't know, man, if you need to detain someone, right? If you need to repair something or make a makeshift something, zip ties are good. So they're probably 16 inches long or something.
Sure.
And the real thick, so I have those on the plate carrier too, kind of out of the way. That way they don't snag or whatever, but they're accessible if I need to. I have in that little kangaroo pouch, there's a pen. I also have a Sharpie. I think Sharpies are important too, whether it's just for notes or if you need to write on somebody, Sharpies are good on writing on.
Draw the glasses on your sleeping friend.
Yes,
That's what it's
what I
for.
meant. Yes. Just draw little phallic symbols wherever the enemy is. Yeah. I think that's it.
Why would you choose a plate carrier or a chest rig?
So
chest rig's going to be a much more condensed version.
Yeah, so chest rigs are pretty much just, and you probably see them, camera bags or people wearing like binoculars. It's just pretty much like something to carry some stuff there. So chest rigs are really good for staying lightweight and fast. You 3 or 4 mags, you're, whatever. Maybe you have a multi-tool, flashlight, some admin stuff, just the bare necessities right there. So it keeps you light on your feet.
Yep.
That's the benefit. The downside is I ain't going to stop anything. So better do more push-ups. So
that's how you hide your feelings.
Yes.
Do more push-ups.
Yeah. So, the benefit to a plate carrier obviously is you're able to carry that,
Yeah, I agree.
that body armor.
All right, so then switching to the backpack.
Yeah, so I think it would be good because, to your point, ounces make pounds, man. And I know when I started and when I enlisted, I was like, we were issued like these big ILB packs. They call them 3-day packs, but man, you could live a month or more off those things. All the way down to like a small assault pack. So I was like, the more and more I did in the field, the smaller my packs actually got. Because that stuff sucks carrying around. But I think truly this is one of those things where you're maybe not able to restock every day or whatever it is. A good 3-day pack I think is good. So, and this is where it's subjective and everyone's different. But I go back immediately to the weather stuff. Having some type of poncho, which can keep you dry. Extra socks, some type of merino wool socks, which are better moisture wicking than cotton or anything like that. Keeping your feet healthy is by far the most important thing, and it is insane how quick they will degrade if you don't know what you're doing.
Yep.
Don't have the right
Agreed.
footwear, you don't have the right maintenance, you get a little damp, like change that stuff immediately, because having bad feet will take you out of everything immediately.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where people roll their eyes at it and they're like, oh, I wear shoes every day. I'm on my feet 12 hours a day for work. I'm like, it is not the same, man.
It's not warehouse work, dude.
Yeah, so some light, polypro, so that, thin, hell, even if it's Under Armour, just something, if it's a warming layer, having it in there doesn't take up much space, isn't that heavy, but having it as a backup. An emergency blanket for if it gets super bad, you have something that can at least contain that body warmth. Food's always a big one, and there's more of these like food storage solutions now, or like MREs and all this stuff out here. Even MREs, you get rid of most of the stuff in it, and I was just taking like main meal packs or whatever had the most calories. I actually saw a thing. Grand Thumb had a great example of caloric dense food that's easy to pack, and man, it's genius and it's so simple. Just take a jar of peanut butter.
Yeah.
So any type of like nut butter, insane in calories. Like a teaspoon of, or maybe it's a tablespoon. It's like 300 calories. It's stupid.
Oh yeah.
So getting that, and then even having tortillas. They pack real thin. You get a flour tortilla is another 300 calories. And then what I thought he mentioned was really good was put in some type of, like, what is that, the athletic greens or some type of vitamin supplement in that peanut butter and mix it up. That way you're getting a little bit more nutrition. And having that, like, yeah, is it going to taste the best? No. Is it going to be boring after the second time you have it? Yes. But is it going to keep you sustained? Absolutely. Like, this is one of those areas where I want to make sure we're like prioritizing where people don't think about is your comfort does not matter at this point.
Americans' relationship to food
Yeah.
is wild. Now there's good things to be said about like having, like if you throw some Skittles or Sour Patch Kids like in your bag as like a little pick me up throughout the day. Okay, like
Sure.
I can
Candy,
buy
yeah,
that. Like
candy,
that makes sense because you get a little bit of that sugar fix, some of the extra little things that you're maybe not going to pick up in something like peanut butter, but you don't really need that much food. And I guarantee majority of Americans, myself included, because I'm not the smallest guy in the world either, it's okay to go without some food. It's okay to have a few little hunger pains.
Yeah.
It kind of lets your body reset on that and just find a baseline. You don't need to pack, a McDouble, double quarter pound with cheese and a large fry worth of calories for every single day. That's just
and that's the other thing too. Give up the idea, and again, we're thinking. I mean, if this scenario really happened, like, it's worst case, right? So you have to think of it as being worst case. Like, Taco Bell's not going to be open. Like,
No.
and I guarantee you, the supermarket, their shelves are going to be empty. So, like, we are truly worst case, and
When
you
the
can
alien-
say, oh, well, we'll take it from the next guy or whatever. Like, maybe, like, you got to plan better than that.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's, once again, relying on somebody else for something you should
Right.
take care of for your own self-preservation.
Right.
So, yeah, when the aliens invade and the
Yes.
markets are empty,
And they suck up all the Taco Bell and Chipotle.
yeah, they're the ones who took the Mexican pizzas, man. I'm telling you. It's crazy.
Did you know the churros that they sell were actually just noodles they throw in the deep fryer?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, just like
Oh,
Barilla or whatever pasta.
well, let's go farther down that tangent. The Mexican pizzas, Taco Bell said they sold out 7 times faster than what they were expecting. That's why it's like back off the menu.
God bless America.
That is the most American thing I'd ever heard. Like, I was like, holy crap.
All right. So yeah, I think that's one of those things where people either don't think of because they don't put enough value into, oh, I can just get it anywhere, or overthink it of, well, I need to, have the
I need this
7-course
50
meal and all that
I
stuff.
need this 50-quart tub to carry with me
Yeah,
at all
carry
times.
that around all day. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Even more important than that is water. Obviously, being able to carry water with you.
Being able to filter water, though.
That's the big thing. So, you're not going to carry gallons of water. Like, if you do, whatever, man, you're going to
Your
have
traps are
quads like
huge.
crazy. Yeah. Having some type of water for purification, know how to do it. Luckily, I mean, there's a lot of resources out there that make it so simple nowadays. So
Yep.
carry a life straw with you. I mean,
Life Straw, get a Sawyer filter. They're really small, easy. They have the little fold-up bags.
Yeah.
Just throw it in your backpack.
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, most camping stores, have it. You get gray water. So whatever, man, there's a puddle in the road. Go fill it up with that gray water bag, have a filter on it. And, after a couple minutes, you're going to have fresh, potable water. So,
Yep.
I think that's really important in understanding, if you're thinking that, I can just drink rainwater off of, the trees or whatever, I can get it off the gutter of this roof. Like, there's bird crap on there. There's all types of,
Yeah.
whatever. It's probably going to get you sick, give you dysentery, and just like the Oregon Trail, you're going to die. So,
WebMD is the Oregon Trail of 2022.
yes. So, knowing how to purify water has always been important. And it has always been a logistical priority for any, military throughout history. So,
Real quick question. Did you say Oregon?
Oregon.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You're in Texas now, buddy.
No, okay.
Sorry.
It's my Midwest.
Your
coming
Midwest
out.
ways
Yeah.
are showing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, food, water, we got that. So the other thing is batteries. Most of your equipment, at least in today's days, runs off batteries.
Synchronize everything. We'll get into the rifle and stuff like that. If you got a rifle, if you got a flashlight, if you're carrying nods, there's ways to make it either all AA or CR123A. Just synchronize all your battery choices. It's less to carry, it's less to think about, and you can swap it out super quick.
Yeah, for sure. And I know there's a lot of optics now that are starting to just be better. And they're now taking like watch batteries, things like that. But
Yep.
yeah, to your point, man, if you can minimize having to carry 6 different types of batteries and knowing what they go to, the better. But make sure you have enough of them.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing I thought, I'd even used, and I saw guys, was even like a small little solar recharging,
Yeah.
that ran off a USB. So if you had rechargeable batteries, you can
Looked
use
into that too. I agree with that. Something to think about though is you're charging and you're recharging from the same source. So over time, the battery capacity will diminish.
Diminish. Mhm.
So just be cognizant of that if that's the route you decide to go.
Right. All right. What else are we missing on your day pack? Extra ammo.
Yeah, of course, extra ammo. If you don't have it on your kit, a general purpose tool like multi-tool, Gerber, something like that, throw it in your pack. It's worth its ounces or pounds, whatever. That
was
makes
required
sense.
gear for me.
Was
We had to have a multi tool in some way.
And it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so much that it's useful for, whether it's fixing a quick hose on the truck or you're fixing parts in your kit. You need a pair of pliers to pull that splinter out
Ripping
from underneath
fingernails
your nail.
off,
So,
yeah.
Oh, whoa.
We'll get into
Not that kind
We'll
of
get into
not
that.
that kind of podcast,
We'll
man.
get into that.
But anyways, something. Yeah, I would say that's a good place to start and start thinking, because as you start developing more of the bag, I think something I heard this a long time ago is so true. If you have the space in your pack, human nature says you're gonna find a way to fill it. So if we were to say, hey, these are some things that would be extremely smart and useful in any situation, I think that's great. But over time, people are going to start developing their packs in their own certain ways that
Right.
fit their own certain priorities. So I would not pack my bag more than 60%. That's just me personally. Doesn't mean I would carry a bigger bag either. I would just look at it and be like, does this bring actual value into my life? And then if it doesn't, get rid of it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just dumb stuff too. Like I would keep everything in a waterproof bag. That way, when you go to change your socks, they're not wet already, or
Yeah.
keep your batteries dry, things like that. Other things too, like you should have more ammo in your backpack. Again, because if we're thinking that, hey, we don't have a resupply station somewhere, it's not just like hitting the square button. It's not like you're just
Yeah.
gonna infinitely reload. And
Ammo
I
plus 20.
suggest keeping loaded mags too, not just loose rounds.
That's fair.
I mean, if you burn through your main supply, and if you're taking contact, you're not going to be out there, loading up, fresh new mags.
And then was it the PMag M3s have that little clip that goes over the top of the magazine itself, so you can actually load it and still protect it. You don't have to worry about it rattling around in your bag or in your gun. That's.
I mean, I'd be curious how many people actually keep those, but yeah, that's what they're for.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know too.
Right.
We'll do a poll after this.
Yes. There's other things for sure. I think that's the kind of the main stuff that, and maybe most things that people don't necessarily think about. Also, having a boo-boo first aid kit is what goes in your backpack.
Oh, yeah.
So, Band-Aids, antiseptic, whatever. The stuff that you don't need right now, but
Not life
yeah, but
threatening things.
whatever. You don't want a small scrape to turn into a bigger infected
To
problem
gangrene,
down the road. Yeah,
no.
so
That makes sense.
or just like the simple, inconvenience of
A slide bite, it's like, and then
Yeah.
who has Band-Aids? Like, that is like the dumbest thing, but it's one of the more overlooked things. I'll agree with you. Like,
right. So yeah, having that small boo-boo kit I think would be important. I would even say a small hygiene kit as well. So
Yeah.
things like baby wipes, if you small scissors or some type of pick, things like that too. You want to take care of your feet, take care of your hands. Anything else?
No, I would agree. I think that's a good place to leave the bag, though, is about right there.
I personally have a belt or a battle belt, whatever. I don't think that's a necessity for people. I think those would be good for if you're going to carry any type of extra load stuff, so load bearing, or if you're going to carry a sidearm.
Yep.
You can never have too much ammo. I think people put too much value on handguns. In comparison to rifles, they don't hold a candle. So the whole idea of your sidearm is to get to your main rifle.
True.
So, if you're going to carry a sidearm, have 2 extra magazines. One in the gun, 2 extra ones, and then prioritize loading or keeping ammo for that rifle.
Yep.
Because that's what's going to do the work. On my belt, so sidearm, 2 pistol mags. I do have an extra rifle mag, a dump pouch, which, excuse me, there's a company called Flatline Fiber Co. Actually they make slings, different things like that. They make a really cool dump pouch that folds into like the size of a baseball.
Oh, wow.
But what I like about it is they have like a laser cut backing that has like the MOLLE backing or whatever. That is actually meant to mount a pouch over, like a mag pouch over that, so you're not losing any real estate on your belt.
Oh, that's cool.
So instead of having like a space in between, 2 pouches or whatever, it can mount underneath it, which is super trick. Inside of it, there's some elastic MOLLE in there as well. So actually, if you wanted to put extra mags, it'll hold them in place.
Yeah.
And then of course you have the dump pouch too. So
That's pretty sweet. Yeah.
yeah, so it's super lightweight. It packs up into absolutely nothing, but it's convenient. And having a dump pouch is, I think, really important. Whether
you don't have a
mount
dump
it-
pouch, you're wrong.
Yeah, I think whether it's on your plate carrier, on your belt, whatever. I mean, it's so convenient. It's not just for your candy. I mean,
Yep.
if it's spent magazines, what it was intended for, if dunnage trash, like you don't want to leave trash around, whatever. It's good to have that extra
No, I
space.
100% agree. A dump pouch is, if you're going to have it on somewhere, I'd keep it on my belt and kind of tucked out of the way a little bit. But yeah, don't leave your mags behind. Those things, get expensive. You keep dropping them enough times, they're going to crack. And that's just not something that, it's still useful. It's reusable,
Sure.
so find a place to put it, whether if you put it back into the magazine pouch itself or into the dump pouch somewhere, just keep it on you.
Yeah, and then the last thing I do have my IFAK is on my belt. So.
Okay, yeah.
As far as, I don't think it's worth discussing like clothing. Like, get what you can. Obviously, camouflage is better than nothing. I don't want to really argue about camouflage because that's going to be really depending on where you're at.
Get clothing that fits your environment.
For sure.
And that's where I think that's
right. Yeah.
the only thing I would say is in total clothing, I'm talking footwear in general as well too. Long sleeve shirt is where I'm at, whether that's heavy duty or lightweight, just for sun exposure alone. jeans or a heavy duty pant, cargo pant, if you want to walk around in total 511s, well, it's up to you. But just make sure you get something that's very situational dependent and it fits what you need it to do at the time.
Yeah, think of some abrasion resistance. And like you said, and people don't think about it, I don't care how tough you think you are or, how long you lived in Florida, the sun will get to you. So having something to cover up your, arms and I would say even neck and stuff from the sun is
100%.
very critical.
Yeah, I would agree. Out of all of that, though, footwear and socks. For the love of God, if you spend money nowhere else and you buy all of the
it's
poverty
important.
things, that's not a good way of saying it. You buy all of the lesser grade things, the
Stop being
very
poor.
below entry level. I'm talking just bare bone basic things. The places where you don't skip out on is in your socks and in your boots.
Right.
One of the most overlooked areas, but you spend enough time outside. Just go work out in your yard all day, or go walk around in downtown wherever you're at, and just without stopping, just go walk around. Enough sweat's going to build up into your socks, and when you go home at night and you see all the lines and cracks and crevices, that's unhealthy for your feet. You do that enough times, your feet are going to crack, they're going to get infected and everything else, and you're not going to be worth anything. In terms of footwear, get something that at least protects your ankle. It doesn't have to be an 8-inch tall boot. Just get something, Solomon, Victos, Oakley, whatever. Just cover your ankles.
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than rolling your ankle doing something silly.
Yeah, for sure. I think, whether it's waterproof or not, waterproof boots will only be waterproof for so long. So understand that.
Yep.
I still have like Danners. They're great. You could crush boulders under them, you feel, but the downside is they're very heavy.
Yeah.
And they're also, isn't good feel. So it's not like you feel the ground underneath you. So understand like what works best for you and what your body is comfortable with. So Solomons are really popular because they can tend to be very lightweight. They also have a really cool kind of tread pattern and material, like that rubber that they use is very high grip. So you could be light and fast on your feet, but maybe sacrifice some of the stability. So understanding, I think,
And what
what you need. If you're, 6'4", 300 pounds, you probably want something a little bigger, sturdier boot.
Yeah. And for all the vet bros out there, yes, your old military boots will work.
Yes.
Just realize that the civilian world doesn't all dress that way, and it
Every
is
day,
kind of
yeah.
an identifier. And I'll leave it at that.
Right. Ultima shoes are fine, whatever.
Yeah, there you go. Are those the boat shoes, like the boat assaulter ones? You know what
So
I'm
they
talking
have like they kind of look like a Chuck Taylor Converse, like the,
about? Oh yeah,
but they have like the vents on the sides because they're meant for fins.
Oh yeah. Hey,
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever
Whatever
floats your
works.
boat.
Yeah. Good socks. I think good moisture wicking socks and having extra.
socks.
Yep. Other things to think about too is I got a frog in my throat. Getting back to like that noise and light discipline. Like if it's a watch, if it's excuse me, whatever it is on your kit, you want to make sure it doesn't glare and reflect. So, if you have a fancy iWatch and you go and turn it and the thing lights up, that's going to be seen for a long ways.
Second pro tip of the day: there's a theater mode that
Yes.
takes that away, just in
So,
case you were wondering.
Whatever it may be, or even if it's a lot of the the Garmin type watches, they can do that unless they have that tactical mode, or you get something that has low reflection. If it's what you have and that's what you got, just know that and put a piece of tape over it. Or same thing. When we talk about the rifle stuff, if it's something that's shiny, make it not shiny because that will reflect. And after so long, of being away from all these creature comforts, people, your enemy, they're going to be picking up on those things a lot more.
The aliens will find it very quickly.
Yes, the aliens will see these things a lot more quickly, as you would too, if you're in that type of environment.
Simple things I think to remember on that, if we're talking watches, if you have a metal band, switch it out for a polyurethane plastic
Yeah, rubber,
or
nylon.
a rubber, nylon, or leather. Leather's fine; it will crack over time, but it does take a consistent amount of sweat and grime to actually make that tear if you're getting quality leather. Leave the metal watches at home. It's just not. That's not the ideal.
I don't know, man.
thing.
You're gonna stunt during the boog with
Now,
a Rolex.
I'm not saying that. I'm about to say if you need to, if you carry your Rolex, that's one thing. Like I get it because that has a secondary value. But for the majority of people, if we're spending all our other money on gear, something like that, leave the Rolex to be your last purchase.
So, just sticking to the gear, some other things too, and I think these are maybe not discussed, and one of them I know hasn't even been realized until this last year. Of some things to think that are unconventional that you may need, like drones have changed the landscape of this conflict with Ukraine and Russia.
Yep.
Like insane amount. So there's guys, soldiers, on both sides. They're talking about the artillery's bad, the enemy fire, blah blah blah. But the one thing they fear the most is the drones, whether it's for surveillance of giving up their position, or they're rigging these things up to be able to drop ordnance. So, I mean, big or small. I mean, there's drones that could carry camera equipment, so why couldn't they carry a homemade, improvised explosive or a Molotov cocktail or a mortar round, whatever, So when you get them high enough, they're small, they're hard to see, hard to hear, especially if there's other stuff going on. So that has changed the landscape quite a bit. It's not just these, huge plane UAVs. It's stuff you can go to Best Buy and get.
Yeah, no, it's where we're at. It's something definitely to be aware of.
Yeah, and you could buy them with money. You don't even need a kill streak to get them.
Ooh, cool. Knowledge bomb right there.
So speaking of currency, is that important? Do you think? So total collapse of things, everything's crazy.
Grab your Bitcoin, man. It's time to go.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not right now.
Like credit cards, cash. Like, is that going to matter? Like, is it a moot point? Is currency going to be a thing? Talking about like Marble Reds or?
I mean, if we're talking, alien invasion of Earth, right? And let's stick with that. I think there's at some point, whether you look back at caveman or cavemen, cavewomen, whatever you would say.
Cave day.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
Them.
Trading shiny rocks for goods or services was a thing. Like through time, we've always found a value in something. So whether that's, hey, your neighbor down the street hasn't had an adult beverage in a while, but you got some extra sitting at the house, take him a drink and ask that. But he has information about kind of what's going on and what he knows, and you just want to have that conversation. That could be a way of opening that door for you. $100,000 in cash could open doors for you. But you have to find that balance of things. I mean, I would say, the end of the world as we know it kind of idea, kind of here, or you're talking this large scale, you're in a decimated area like Ukraine. I'm sure there's some value that you can find in money, but I think as time goes on, there's a bigger value put into things that are harder to find, which could be a resource. It could be baby formula. It could be your buddy needs gas to fill up his car because he didn't have $12 to pay for a gallon. It's just one of those things where you have to kind of weigh it at the time and understand that can shift one way or the other. I would probably leave the gold coins at home. I'm not going to say that there's value in that, yes, but it's probably not the value that you think it is. I think there will be a heavier thing in having a couple extra big lighters and be able to give those away. Just things to kind of think about in that manner and understanding, once again, the environment in which you're in.
Cool.
Would you agree, or would you say
100%? And
Okay.
I think just dumb stuff like, and I wanted to mention it later, but like community building, but like having that Bic lighter, like there is an important resource in being able to befriend people, in a simple gesture of being able to light their cigarette or offer them that.
Yeah.
Could be a game changer in creating, or growing your team.
No, for sure.
So
We can cover that again then.
yeah. So firearms. I mean, this could be super specific and all that. I think I kind of want to hear what you say first, but obviously you have a primary.
And
What's your pick, and what would you put on it? And we could just leave it at that, because
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very personal as far as what people already have versus their imagination. But if you had to pick from your collection, or if you had to pick from
18-inch
available to you.
5.56
Oh,
rifle
boy.
with like a Razor 1-10 or a Night Force 1-8. I'd throw a bipod on it.
So a lot of this is going to depend on where you're at too, right?
Yeah, no, like are we saying one rifle to rule them all? Is that what we're picking? Or are we,
yeah, okay,
if we're just picking one,
Yeah.
I would just make this, I guess, as simple as possible. 5.56 an easy popular round, still fine.
Especially in the States.
Yep. I get AKs have their fanboys, and that may be what you choose. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. Just not the platform I would pick. But yeah, just a 14.5 to 18-inch 5.56, something that covers 500-600 yards, whatever. And then a 1-8 or a 1-10 optic bipod and laser. Make it super streamlined, super simple. Not super cheap, but just that's one rifle that, whether you need to go hunting for a deer because you haven't had meat in 6 weeks, or you need to defend your home, defend your family, it's one rifle that covers a myriad of areas.
What'd you say the length was?
I'd say 14. I mean, at most 18. That's a DMR at that point, or an SPR. 14 and a half, if you're thinking just a basic, I can shoot out to 400 meters, 400 yards, whatever, and make accurate fire at that point. That is a very easy rifle to do if in case of need of whether it's hunting or defense. I think that's a capable system to do that for a rifle. You have short range optic capabilities. You have enough magnification. If you can't shoot 400 yards with an 8x zoom, get training.
Yeah, do better.
Yeah, just
yeah, I think that's
hand it to the next guy.
Yeah,
you grab the pistol.
That's worth kind of talking about. So I think there's two mindsets. Most people, they're like, oh, well, I can hit a dinner plate at 25 yards. Like, God bless you, man.
Good for you.
That's great. But then there's other people that think 100, 200, 300 yards is long distances. And I think that's a majority of people, truly. And maybe they're not wrong. But then there's others where I know we trained out to 500 with iron sights on a 16-inch gun or whatever. And it's definitely capable. Will the round go that far? Yes. Is it going to lose some energy? Yes. But you could still make effective shots that far. However, talking about a 5.56 round, and out of the M6, or the AR platform, family platform, most firefights I don't think would be that far though. I think for a lot of this stuff, and I guess this is where my rationality would come from. I think a lot of that stuff is going to be engagements, 250 or less, to where, standoff is important, meaning that, you could shoot further than the enemy can shoot, back at you. So, yeah, if you can, reach out and touch somebody at 600-700 yards while they're playing the short game, obviously you win there. But I don't think, especially at least where we're at here, there's much of that opportunity, and you're not going to catch me out in the open just walking up and down the street.
Yeah, I would say if we're saying this in an urban environment, then yes, that's.
I mean, all environments, right? So it's like.
I'd say if we're talking just a generalized environment, I'm just gonna stick with my 14.5.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. So I don't think I would go shorter than
suppressed. So yeah,
right.
It does give me the extra velocity anyway.
So I don't think I would go shorter than 12.5. So let's say like a 13.7 to 14.5, whatever.
Yep.
With a suppressor on it. Some type of 2-point sling. That way, you can use it as needed. LPVOs are great, especially for distance, and they do take some using though. So practice. So especially for quick stuff, like competition guys use them all the time. But you need to make sure that if you're going to run an LPVO, you have the the mechanical, or the offset right, eye relief, all that stuff. You need to make sure that's right, because there's much less forgiveness with
There's
that
a lot
optic.
more training that goes into
Correct.
that optic versus like an ACOG.
Yeah. Any or EOTechs or any of the red dots or holographics, those are
Yep.
become so popular because there is no eye relief and there is no shift or anything like that. So
Yeah.
if you see that dot or you see that little donut, like
Mm-hmm.
that's where you're aiming. The other thing to think about is weight too. The more stuff you have on that gun, the heavier it's going to be, the more it's going to
Yep.
hurt and suck, which LPVOs can be heavy. The benefit to LPVOs is that they do have etched glass. So if you run out of batteries or not necessarily
Still
even,
have a
yeah.
reticle.
So I think I would choose a hybrid. If I had to choose like one thing just to have it, I think a lot of the red dots and some of the prisms out there, red dots and holographics out there, there's some good ones with long battery life, 50,000 hours plus,
Right.
shake, wake, and all that crap. But if the batteries are gone or if the electronics fail, that's the only
That's
downside.
different.
Yeah. So I think having some type of prism optic, which is both an etched reticle and a battery-powered illuminator, could be kind of the ticket. So gives you more eye relief. So if you're doing the close range running the gun and stuff, but if you wanted to throw a magnifier behind it, you have that ability as well.
That's fair.
So, don't need a whole lot of trick stuff on there. I think you want a good light on the gun, and yeah, if you have the ability to run nods, some type of
IR laser.
IR laser. If you don't have nods, take that trash off.
Yep.
You don't need it.
But it looks so cool.
Yeah. Send it back to Amazon. Okay, so I don't think we need to beat that up anymore. I mean,
No, I mean, first sidearm.
Yeah.
If you're gonna run a sidearm, I like generalization. I'd carry Glock. You can beat that thing up to death. I'm sure. Let me guess. Staccato.
I mean,
I'm not
Sure.
knocking you for it. I mean,
yeah, it'd be a tough choice. So, I mean, the nice thing is, Glock, there's a lot of standardization with it. So,
Mhm.
Parts, things like that would be a lot easier to find.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking Battlefield pickups. Just your buddies are probably going to carry them. There's just going to be a lot more out there. Magazines,
Glocks are very
things like that.
normalized. Firearms very popular.
Yes. So I think that's a good choice. Maybe the last thing on this kind of conversation is if you had to build a team of, say, 5 people and treat it as like you're creating classes, right? And you said, hey, this guy is good at this person's good at this, and this. What would those 5 be? So in a way, you're kind of creating priorities for some of these skills, right? So, what would those things be? And I can kind of go first, just kind of help.
I'm curious to see.
yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna have some different stuff.
So, I mean, immediately, I think you have somebody who has an expertise in medical,
Okay.
right? So, I think that kind of covers it. Whether it's boo-boos and band-aids or actual battlefield trauma, you have a medical person. And again, all these people can cross-train and all these things, but
Sure.
you have so medical. I think you have somebody who is a tech person. So someone who can help run comms, who can run a drone, who is tech savvy enough to operate in the modern day. I think that'll make everybody a lot more disciplined as far as the way they communicate with each other and using the resources that we have available to us with just through technology, phones,
Sure.
et cetera. I think you have somebody that is a community builder, and I go back to like your big lighter thing. So having that personality trait is something that not everybody has, just the ability to go out and make friends. But having that person is kind of like the good cop to
A very rough, disciplined, aggressive group.
right. So I think that would be incredibly important, because the bigger your community is, the more likelihood your survivability. The
Yep.
more, fire teams you have, the bigger your squad is, and et cetera. So
Yeah.
I think that would be very important. On the flip side of that, I do think you need a heavy. And, pardon me, not being morbid, but I think you need somebody that is morally flexible enough to do some of the things that other people maybe can't do. So going back to kind of like where that range of boundaries are for like personal, whatever it is, personal moral or ethic code, like I think you need someone on that edge of like, boy, I don't know if we would hang out after this, but I'm glad you're on our side. So I think that would be important. And then I think somebody that would have a background in foraging and understanding landscapes. So, hey, that's poison ivy. Stay out of that. Hey, that's actually edible. Let's pack up some of those, or whatever. So, somebody that I don't want to say a farm or agriculture because we're not sowing. We're not planting seeds anywhere. But somebody that could
Has some
help
survival
us
skills.
live off the land. Yes.
Gotcha.
So I think those are 5 important personality traits, assets that aren't really thought about, except maybe for medical. That would be very important. You can use some of the same ones.
I think you have a pretty interesting list. I do have some different variations, though. Mine would be med, of course. That's an easy one to pass off. Your tech guy makes sense to me for a communication standpoint, to understanding how to get back online, how to start talking to people through different channels, whatever. I liked your community builder, and that was something I was kind of thinking about too. I think that's something that's very much overlooked because having that skill set, like you said, is not easy, especially with people who train a certain way and they get this hard kind of aggression, rough edges to them. That's not a natural trait for most civilized society, right? That's if you want to use the term warrior trait of type, that it makes you abrasive to other people at
Sure.
times. And it's not intentional, and it's not
Especially
malicious.
if you get 2 of those people,
Tag team together.
you're right,
Yeah,
yeah.
it turns into butt heads. And it's, once again, it's not malicious. It's
Just
for
the way
most
it is.
people, it's just how they can be. So I think the community building is important, but I want that person to have a dual role. And I would really like someone who would speak a secondary language, like Spanish. So especially living in Texas,
Sure.
there's a very heavy Hispanic community, and you're not trying to segregate groups in that way. You want to bring, like you said, the community together. You want to have as much as possible, and everybody kind of feeling that semblance. So Spanish be great. If you live closer to Waco, I'm sure there's some German groups out there just from
Yeah, wherever
how they
you are,
settled,
yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So that's 3, right?
Mhm.
Man, I need a mechanic. I'm not that guy. That's a very specific skill
That's a good
set.
one, yeah.
So from motorcycles to Sea-Doos to boats to dirt bikes to RVs, whatever. I need somebody who is general enough that they can either they know how to do it or they can figure it out quick.
Right.
Man, who would be my 5th person though? I want somebody that's well versed. I would think in tactician, be a tactician. So they've spent their life they were the kid that from 2nd grade until senior year of college, they studied World War II.
I'd say playing World of War. Or
Yeah,
something.
like people who understand strategy at a different level, right? Because most people get down to the weeds of a specific way, and I want somebody that takes that paradigm shift, and I want them to introduce a different mindset.
Yeah, I think that would be a good example of if you have, every group needs an effective leader.
Yep.
And because if we're talking about these scenarios, it's not a democracy. Like it's, you need clear, defined orders and people following them for it to work. So say you have your tech guy and they're operating a drone, but then you have your kind of chess player leader guy there.
Mhm.
That could be very valuable because he could conduct movement on a battlefield.
Yep.
That could be, very effective. And that's what I think a lot of good leaders, do, whether it's, they take their team and they know how their team operates with whatever skills, whatever weapons they have, whatever it is, and they use them to their full advantage. on that field that they're,
And character
presented.
trait, I think all 5 total people, so the 6, everybody needs to have the ability to understand when it's time to lead and when it's time to follow.
Sure.
Because each person's going to have their own design role and defined area of expertise where they need to be able to be autonomous, but understand how to reel that in and bring it into a collective group so that the pathway can be shaped to go the right way.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good points. And this was mostly just, I think, just was a discussion just for a mental exercise. Understanding that the rabbit hole on every one of these, the avenue is just so deep to go down, and it could be hours on each one. So just understanding that, everything that we kind of covered isn't the end all be all, and it isn't exactly.
It was for entertainment purposes only.
I mean,
It's like you said, it's a thought process. It's just understanding that.
yeah, I think
There's
it's important
something to think
for
about.
people to think about too. Like, it's bigger than probably what you know, and try to think of those things. Like, try to and as a part of that mental preparation. Preparation.
Yeah, it's a big word.
Is to put yourself in that environment, in that conflict, in whatever it may be, that scenario, and really challenge yourself to find where the flaws in your planning are, whether it's in your gear, if it's in your personal, repertoire of skills, and be honest with yourself. If whether it's the physical, mental, or training, things that you lack in, understand that, and it's okay to poke holes in that. So.
To me, this is also when you think of the idea of like a threat assessment and understanding the wide range of things that could be inflicted upon you in a horrible situation. The conversation we had today is a 0.00001% chance of something like that happening, and it's not something that we're not trying to arm the masses or anything like that. Understand that there's a process to this. I think we've kind of explained whether it's financial, mental, physical preparations to be able to facilitate all these things. Start covering the basics first. If this sounds like this is your first podcast and you've never heard something like this before, or you think this stuff's cool, start with stopping by the shop, talk to somebody, just get necessary basic training. Just start with an intro to handgun class, an intro to rifle class, get real basic knowledge before you decide to jump off the deep end. You bought your plate carrier, your helmet, and everything, but then you have no idea what you're doing. There's a way to responsibly and safely learn these things and not be a crazy person.
Sure.
There's a way just to be an average citizen who's prepared and willing to defend themselves, their family, their community for the right reasons.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it all falls back on the training. Train your body, train your mind, and
In a safe and responsible manner.
100%. Yeah, and don't be afraid to
Ask
look for that
questions.
help and ask questions.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be somebody bigger, faster, stronger, more knowledgeable, things like that. So take that knowledge and get it from as many people as you can, because no matter how awesome you are, there's still stuff to learn, and you need to continue to growing, and then continue to practice those, because these are if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So
It's a skill set.
100%. All right. I know we both brought some product. Every episode we'd like to kind of talk about a new product that is exciting to us, and we want to kind of share with everybody. So, you want me to go first? You want to go first?
I'll go first. That's
Okay.
fine. So
this one's kind of cool. I kind of forgot about it.
How dare you.
I know, right? I saw them like 2 years ago, and I've been looking forward to some of this product coming out.
So, clear?
It's good. It's good.
Okay. Check beforehand, but I always like to state it. So this is the Alpha Foxtrot AFC Forged. Really cool thing about this, to me, it takes 98% of what Glock is not liked for, and they fixed it. The only 2% they kept that everyone hates from Glock is the sights. So it has the traditional goalpost sights. It kind of is what it is, just basic fixed sights. But everything else has been fixed. So Glock mags, P-mags, should take OEM mags as well. I believe I tested that out.
Sure.
Grip frame for those 1911 fanboys out there. It's actually the same grip angle overall. So it's pretty nice there, which means with this extra beaver tail, the chance for slide cuts isn't there. Another cool thing that I liked about it is on the front of the frame, on both sides, is a thumb index. So if you are a new shooter, every single time, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, your thumb will naturally fall into place there. So one of the big issues that I've seen ever working with people on the range has been grip placement and the inconsistency there. This takes that away, and it gives you a natural point of rest every single time. So I thought that was pretty neat. The Glock trigger that has been made a little bit wider, I want to say this is Alpha Foxtrot's actual trigger.
Right.
It's not an aftermarket trigger or anything like that, but everything else is the same. Aluminum frame, aluminum slide. They also have a glossed black version overall, whichever, if you're a two-tone or you like one color, it's all good. Has the front pick rail as well, so if you're ready to attach that,
Grenade launcher.
yeah,
Yeah, your lights,
your
whatever.
bayonet, I don't
Yeah.
know, like for most people, just a flashlight though will suffice. And then you stop by the shop, get a custom holster, and you're good to go. But I think it's a cool gun, and for being a full metal frame, not extremely heavy, and not a bad price point. Well under $1,000. It's easy. It's in the realm of most Glocks and SIGs.
I mean, it's kind of a custom frame, custom gun. It's what, $689 or something. So
Yeah.
saw these dudes. They came up. They had one of the reps come up maybe like a year and a half or more ago. Showed us these. We even took a couple of our personal guns and swapped out slides and lowers and all that, and they fit up fine. So
Yeah.
if you got a crazy custom Glock slide, but you want a different lower, the Alpha Foxtrot has that aluminum lower. To your point, it has the nice built-in beaver tail. That aluminum lower is actually really nice. It feels great in the hand, just the right amount of stippling.
Let's say the texture on it, you don't feel like your hand's going to just slip off.
Yeah, and it's also not super abrasive too. So if you're going to
No.
carry it, it's not going to just rip up your skin.
Yep.
Good slide cuts on it. It also has like that beveled edge on it. It's not gaudy by any means. I know some of these companies really try to set themselves apart by just
way overdoing it.
way overdoing Glock slides. I'm really excited about the brand. And one of the things I learned about them is that they were kind of like a white label for a lot of companies.
Yeah.
And white label meaning that they manufactured slides, frames, etc. for other brands. So one of those being like STI. So they used to do
What?
the frames and slides for STI. And then, they'd ship them to STI. STI would kind of, do the final,
Yeah.
whatever,
Make it
fitting
STI,
and all
yeah.
that and, whatnot. So, they have the kind of the not Glocks that they came out with, but they also have 1911s, and soon they're going to be doing 2011s as well. So I know we got a chance to see some of those. So I'm excited. They have a compact 2011 that's a 15 or 16 round capacity. And you put it on the same quality as some of the stuff like Staccato, stuff like that you see, and it's about half the price. So it's definitely a brand to look out for and kind of keep on the
And
radar.
it's not a bad brand that I've seen any of their products. There's pride behind the name because there's pride in the product,
Yeah.
but there's no pride in the price tag. And that's one thing I think as a gun owner I can't stand.
Sure.
Is I'm not one of those people that's going to buy a gun.
Looking at you, HK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it stands for high cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I think that there's a way to do it, and I think Alpha Foxtrot's really done it right. And no matter if you currently own a Glock or if you've only ever owned SIGs or 1911s, I bet you if you go look in your gun bag right now, there's a Glock mag in there. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And a 10 millimeter socket. Yep.
Yeah, and they have them all. I guarantee it.
Yes.
So that's one of those things. So I just think it's cool, and let's find you a gun, to actually fit that magazine.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I think that was a good one. So this one I literally grabbed today. It is
Bum, bum,
a
bum.
new suppressor from Dead Air. So it is called the Sierra 5. So I'll let you kind of play with that.
Cool.
Now, I mean, Dead Air's been in the game forever. The Sierra 5, they are marketing as like the new like NATO 5.56, like the only 5.56 can you'll ever need, blah, blah, blah. So all marketing, blah, blah, crap aside, there's a lot of cool stuff about this. So the can itself is like 4.8 inches long. So
It's nothing.
unlike what your girlfriend or wife said, like that's not very long. So it's a very compact suppressor, but it also does a very good job at killing the noise. So it is damn near hearing safe on an indoor range. on a, I think we were firing on a 12 and a half.
Like you got to shoot it.
Yes, so it is very quiet.
Did you get to shoot it?
No. So
Selfish, man. Should have called me.
full auto rated, of course, and they don't have a minimum barrel requirement. So a lot of suppressors you see, like, oh yeah,
Trying not to like be so stupid loud right now. I'm sorry.
so a lot of suppressors you see, they're like, yeah, they're full auto rated, but nothing shorter than a 10.5-inch barrel. For those who don't know, 5.56, 223, a lot of pressure, which makes that round effective. But the shorter you run that thing, the more pressure that can is actually taking. So there is no minimum requirement.
So you could throw that on a cane brake.
Yes. So
That's impressive.
yes. So again, you're talking a sub 5-inch can on a 5-inch gun. Or whatever.
Yeah.
So the thing suppressed would still be shorter than most stuff out there. So really cool. The front cap is interchangeable. It does come with like that small little 3-prong looking like flash hider front cap. The barrel, the body of the suppressor itself is knurled, so it kind of reminds me of the Wolverine, kind of like the block looking one. So they did that intentionally, and they also put big lugs on the base of it, so for like the wrench. So the wrenches actually fit, and they don't slip off, and they're easy to
That's
get
nice.
to. The knurling also helps too if you're threading it on or off, or if you're running some type of suppressor cover. It helps grip that cover, because I swear every one I've ever used has slidden off while firing. It takes either the Chemo, which is like their ratcheting system, or their new Xeno mount. The badass thing is, like, it comes in this super cool Gucci box, but it comes with a Chemo mount.
Oh, cool.
And it also comes with a 1/2x28 Chemo 3-prong flash hider too.
Oh, sweet.
2 wrenches, has like the really nice small diameter shims,
Nice.
and then stickers and all that stuff. But so cool package. It's under $1,000. I know with
Contrary
E-forms-
to the amount of sound, the threads aren't that long. It was just
Yes.
excessive.
Okay. Yeah, no. It's even with the Chemo that's on it now, it's super short. So personally, I think I'm gonna probably do one of these myself.
Yeah.
The threads on the back of it are like that industry standard, whatever it is. It's like 3 1/4 by something.
Yep.
Soundsco Omegas, almost all the Dead Air stuff. Q, all of them. Griffin, they all use that same thread pitch. So whatever mount you have, you can make this can work. So dedicated 5.56 can, run it in the shortest thing you got, and everything that they say is like, this is meant to be a hard use can. So I think in their marketing, they're like, if you're not getting it glowing hot every time you're shooting it, then we're going to be offended. So,
All right.
I think where it sacrifices is, it's a little, for its size, it's probably a little heavier. Still don't think it's very heavy at all. But they're not using stainless steel baffles or titanium. They're actually using steel core stuff. So they sacrifice some of the weight for durability, but it's a badass little can, dude. It looks tough. It looks rugged, and it's super quiet. So I think that's the biggest thing. So because it's not a very big voluminous can, so I think that one will do well.
I'm ready to see the video drop, man.
Yes, yes. So I'm actually going to put it on a 10-inch AK for the video. So
All right, fair enough.
there you go.
Very, very cool.
All right. I know we'd like to end these shows always with discussing a machine gun that we
Some
have.
machine gun madness.
Available to rent here. So Texas Gun Experience, we have 200 machine guns in our inventory. So everything from old World War II guns to current modern stuff. We even have a minigun. We have a Gatling gun. So we'd be remiss if we didn't at least show and tell one of them. I went down and talked to the armory guys. I was like, hey, this is what we're going to be kind of rapping about this episode. And what would you pick as your main, your main battle rifle? And this is what they chose. So I don't know if you want to grab that real quick.
Yeah.
So we are going to be showing off a SCAR, or a FN SCAR. So, and it's a SCAR Heavy, or the SCAR 17. For those that don't know what this is, it's not new, but it's very popular in video games, movies, etc. The SCAR actually stands for Special Operations Combat Assault Rifle, so you can call this an assault rifle. So the SCAR was actually a program that the U.S. military was conducting in the 2000s to kind of have this next generation weapon. They wanted to be, modular, so different calibers. There's a lot more requirements. So I think I don't know if they were asking for it to be piston driven or not, but it seemed like all of the companies that
Everybody's going
bid on
towards
it was
yeah.
going, some type of piston on here. So, so FN ended up winning the contract. FN being a Belgian company, but making a lot of firearms for the U.S. military as it is. So, like, they have the M16A4, they have some of the M4s are
240.
the 240s, the
249.
249, and of course the SCARs.
And even though they're a Belgian headquartered company, they do have a manufacturing facility in South Carolina.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's like a big thing for government contracts. It has to be American made. So it is an American made product.
So,
It's from my understanding.
so some of the things is fully ambidextrous. So right left hand controls. It does have the charging handle kind of up top, which you can also relocate. The 17 is really popular though because it is the 308, so it is definitely the heavier round. They do
Yeah.
make the SCAR 16, which is the smaller 5.56 round.
And they got a long one, the SCAR 20.
The SCAR 20, yeah, which they have either 308 or
6.5
6.5.
Creedmoor, yep.
Which that's fairly new, but the 17's definitely been in the military for quite some time, Special Operations Command, things like that. But it's definitely good for kind of reaching out and touching someone. Also, a little bit better defeating body armor, things like that. So
And the recoil's not bad.
no, so the big thing that really impressed me the first time I ever handled one of these is the weight. Because they kind of
Yeah.
look chunky a little bit. I don't know. You got the UGG boot stock back here.
That's a good way of describing that,
Yeah,
actually.
they look kind of big, but it's actually really light. So, in fact, good.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, like, just overall, it was
Yeah,
so
six-
much polymers put into it. What do you have as a weight?
So, I mean, depending on the barrel length and all that stuff, so
course.
6.5 to 7 pounds, which is light. I mean,
Nothing.
yeah.
Yeah. That's actually pretty comparable to an M4, right?
Yeah.
I'm about to say M4 is like 7.6, something like 7.8. So, yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. And then you throw a little red dot on top of it, like we have the Romeo 5 on ours. You can actually put some on there with magnification if you're going to take this thing out to range. But if you're just looking to shoot on a giggle switch, a red dot is definitely good.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, this is a straight up full auto gun. This is one of those ones that is a little bit heavier hitter. So, I know we can run them suppressed as well. Like on this one, we do have that 3-port brake, which I think is a dead air as well. But
Yeah.
that brake actually helps out quite a bit. And this is kind of a fun one too, because man, it shoots just big fireballs everywhere and shakes the range a little bit. So,
For sure. We'll have to get a video and just throw it in at the end and just have some fun shooting.
yeah, the SCAR 17 is cool, man. The 30 caliber round's still relevant for a reason. So, definitely worth checking out.
Cool. Heck yeah. Well, awesome, man. Well, I think that kind of wraps up today's episode, though.
Yes.
Is there any last party news you want to throw
No,
out there?
again, man, I just wanted to kind of, just get people thinking, and mostly just to kind of, like I said, I was just on the treadmill the other day and I just kind of think about some of this stuff. So it's always kind of fun to kind of talk that out and have that mental exercise. And, with how crazy everything's going right now, man, instead of just kind of getting in your feels and panicking and, start thinking about, what can you do to become more accountable and become an asset instead of a liability,
Yep, and like I said, we're not trying to fearmonger. We're not
No,
trying
not at
to
all,
build an army. That's not the case at all. It's only about, at the end of the day, we want to make sure everybody is prepared to defend themselves. We want to give people the tools, and sometimes that's just giving people the thoughts to kind of think about some things, and then they can weigh through it. They say, hey, this is where I draw my line of what I'm willing to do, and that's fine. That's your line, but just kind of finding where you sit, and don't let the first time you go through something be the first time you thought about it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it's and worst case you go through all this stuff, and well, I guess best case you go through all this stuff and nothing pops off. There's a great community that you probably just became a part of. The information's invaluable and should be passed down as well. So, if you have any interest in this stuff, please explore it. And there's plenty of resources out there. And
So from the free online resources, or if you truly want to get just a face-to-face, please stop by the shop, give us a call, shoot us an email.
Sure.
We'll be happy to help you in a responsible, safe way.
Yes.
We just want to make sure that you don't go off the deep end with no safety net. We want to make sure that we want to get you pointed in the right direction.
For sure, yeah, and especially if you're, I guess we want to inform people enough to where they're not just making, crazy purchases without, necessarily needing it, or make sure you know how to use your gear and it's valuable to you. So
Yeah.
we want to, you to get the information as much as we want to, sell the business and all that too. So
Cool.
Yeah, get training, go do some push-ups, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, see you guys
All right,
later.
Cool, thanks.